How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how to make Verita's Funk Soul. I found this track scrolling through Instagram. It was on one of Bush Baby's posts. He was playing at a festival and it absolutely went off with the crowd. Here's a clip. Today I'm going to be showing you how it's made. Here's a preview of my remake and what you'll have made by the end of the video. Great, let's firstly look at the bass. It's made up of 3 different elements: a Reese Bass, a Sine Donk, and lastly a warp. Let's firstly have a look at the Reese Bass. So if we have a look at the MIDI, I've also got the donk in here as well, and the warp would be here. But yeah, we've got the first note and we're in the key of A sharp minor, and it's just playing in the root note, and then it plays again in the root note and rolls up. Yeah, so these 2 separate parts act like a call and response. Obviously the first note is the call, and this is the response. For context, if you got rid of that and just had a long note, it'd be really boring. See, nowhere near the sort of effect that that has. So yeah, just adding these 2 simple notes really makes a world of difference. So let's now look at the patch itself. The patch is made in Serum. It's from the Speed Garage Volume 2 pack. This pack has over 50 presets for making Speed Garage like the pros. If you haven't got it already, check it out. The link for it is in the description. But yeah, it's the Reese 101 preset. I'm now going to show you how to make it from scratch. So what we're going to do is click Menu, Initiate Preset, Analog, Basic Shapes. What's that to be? Analog, Basic Shapes. Make it a saw wave in each. Pitch them down by 2 octaves. We've then got to detune them, plus 30, minus 30. It's going to sound like this. We're then going to use the filter, put it to an NG load 24. Make sure it's on A and B, and let's bring up the drive, bring up the resonance, and I'm going to click this piano note. You're then going to adjust sort of res to find the right sort of sweet spot to carry the note. You're then going to bring up the drive slightly, and you can add some fat. So yeah, I've set for 223 Hertz. That seems to sound the best for me. And that's pretty much the sound. You can also add a sub. Usually go for a sine if you've got 2 saw waves. So it adds a little bit more low end, as you can hear. So an extra sort of bit of sub. Yeah, I mean, you could obviously add a reverb, but it's not completely necessary. Let's move on to the next sound. So if we have a look at how the sine is made, I've used Serum 2 for this, but you can also use Serum 1. In oscillator 8, we've got an analog BD sine, pitch it down by 2 octaves. The fine tune is on minus 39. And then comes this envelope 1, and we've created this sort of sculpted effect with a nice little drop off there. Kept the sustain really high, which is important. We've kept the attack very low because you want it to be really plucky. Got that in 1 millisecond. We then dragged that over to the cutoff. Got it at 27 Hertz, and then we put it up about 49%. And then we've come to the effects. So if I just bypass these, this is what it's going to sound like. We then turn on the compressor. We've gone for a single band, and these obviously the ratios we've kept. We're just trying to keep the sort of loudest part of the sine wave sort of more tucked in. And then we've turned on this filter, which basically takes out a lot of the high end. So we've got that at 425 Hertz. So yeah, it's a pretty simple patch. If you look at the effects, I've got this kickstart, so it's just side chaining it to the kick. And I've also got this EQ, just boosting some of the low end a little bit more. Great, now let's have a look at the final sound, which is this warp. This sort of really helps bring it all together and feeds into sort of reload of that Reese. This is also from Serum and is from that same Speed Garage 2 pack and is the Warp Stink Face preset. Cool, I'll show you now how to make this from scratch. So menu, initiate the preset, digital FT add seconds. It's gonna be a sine wave. And then what we're doing, if you turn that up, look, it sort of adds more harmonic. That's a sine wave. I'm gonna pitch it down by 2 octaves. I'm gonna use this LFO to control this sort of movement. So we grab this, put it on the wavetable position. We're then gonna lower the rate. Make sure you select trigger, and then you can basically sculpt it to however you want. Maybe a bit quicker, maybe even quicker than that. You could also add a sub just for extra bass. You You could also make it come in more or less. I think a sweet middle ground, sort of like 32. So yeah, you can obviously play around this LFO or the wavetable position and make really interesting sounds. Like if I want it to be quicker, or I could even go like this. I mean, you could probably incorporate a filter in this as well. So you could turn that on, maybe put some resonance, MG low, sort of 80. You're going to want to bring up the drive and probably the fat. But you could also maybe make it wider, so bring on the hyper dimension, turn the hyper down and bring the dimensions up. And of course, the trusty reverb, bring that decay down. Cool, and that is pretty much the bass. Great, now let's have a look at the drums. I mean, the drums are pretty simple, as you can see. It's just 2 tops and a kick. The kick is quite heavily distorted, so I've added this drum bus just to really beef it up. Without it, I mean, it's basically just turning the volume up. But yeah, it also adds a little bit of sort of overdrive and stuff like that, distorts the high end. In terms of these drums, these are just top loops. Both these top loops are from my Speed Gauge Volume 3 drums pack. This pack has over 300 loops, one-shot samples and effects, making Speed Gauge like the pros. If you haven't got that as well, obviously check that out. The link for that is in the description. So yeah, the whole track is pretty much built around the bass and the drums. I mean, what carries a track would obviously be these 3 different drum layers sort of playing against each other. So you could obviously, in theory, have all these same notes on just one bass. But it's not going to be as interesting. So yeah, this sort of way of making a sort of bass line is quite heavy in like bass house, or quite common in bass house. You sort of build the original MIDI like this, and then you chop it up, and then you just like scroll through Serum and pick different sounds and just flip through. See what sounds good, like that sounds pretty cool. And then you could obviously come here and do the same thing and find a warp, or you could find a different Reese. So if we just go to that Speed Gauge pack, or you could come, you change that warp. So also in that pack, got loads of warps. That's basically the same, but a lot dirtier. I recommend trying this style in your own tracks. If you think your bass line or your Reese bass is a bit boring, try chopping it up and adding different elements. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. I hope you learned something new. I had to be quick as possible because my camera is about to die. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you next week.